There you are.
Hi, County Executive Josh Shulman here. So we want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with the new mask mandate, and more importantly, the emergency order that just came from Governor Evers this afternoon. I am very concerned about this power grab from Governor Evers and what he's attempting to do. I've said many times before, and I'll say it again, wearing a mask is the polite thing to do. We do that out of love for our neighbor. Businesses throughout Washington County and throughout the state of Wisconsin have been doing that for some time. I personally don't think state law or a state edict was needed from the governor to do that, but I'm more concerned about what the next steps of that emergency order are. I want to make sure that schools are open 5 days a week in person so that those kids are getting the services that they need, the nutrition they need, the mental health services that they need, and people are able to go back to work and stay at work. And so we're going to look into the legality of exactly what the governor has done, but we want to make darn sure 100% that we can keep things open, keep our economy open, and our kids are getting the services they need. So stay tuned over the next couple of weeks. We're going to try do everything we can here in Washington County to fight the good fight, and we need your support.
Josh, your phone, my phone, ringing off the hook from businesses, especially restaurants and taverns that are concerned mostly about the mask mandate. Is Washington County, which is a sanctuary county, going to enforce the governor's mask mandate?
Yeah, we're in the process. As you are finding out, we're finding out. So within the last hour, we've been starting to dig and figure out exactly what legal ramifications this has on Washington County and all of our businesses, and what tools do we have in the toolbox. Enforcement is the big question. Before you came in, I was just on the phone with the sheriff. I'll be talking with the public health officer and he, as well as our county attorney, about what are the next steps. A conversation with our district attorney is probably in order too, because he'd be the one enforcing all of that in the Justice Department side. So we've got a lot of work to do, but I can tell you right now, I'm very concerned about what this power grab from the governor means to all of our businesses. Again, the mask mandate, the masks are a polite thing to do. We want to keep people safe out of love for our neighbor, but where this could go from here is very, very concerning.
People want to know, what did the Sanctuary County Declaration do? A lot of people, including myself, kind of thought it insulated the county, but what did that actually do?
Yeah, it was really double down on the oath of office that we took back in April. Both myself as county executive and the county board of supervisors really committing to upholding the Constitution. And that's exactly why we now need to sit down and analyze what does this mean constitutionally. You know, we've had conversations with our legal counsel, with the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, trying to understand what does this actually mean. Can the governor have back-to-back emergency orders on the exact same crisis? How does that work? So, you know, on the one hand, we want to be expeditious and be timely in our response. On the other hand, we also want to have a solid legal argument. We live in a constitutional republic. We want to make sure that we follow the law and fight it using the right tools and procedures if that's the right thing to do. But again, I encourage people to wear masks out of respect and love for their neighbors. Don't worry about the mandate. We'll figure that part of it out. Live your lives. Don't be afraid. This is definitely a serious pandemic, but it's nothing to be afraid of. Be as safe and cautious as possible, but don't be afraid. That's the best message I can give you.
People are afraid. So the businesses, and I know we may be repeating, but the businesses are so concerned. Do they have a chance of being shut down?
I can tell you that is not something that we're even remotely interested in. The questions that I'm going to have for the sheriff, for the district attorney, for our county attorney, for our health officer are exactly what you're just asking right now. How are we going to handle it here locally? We certainly aren't going to have the state coming in and doing their own enforcement. It's going to be up to us. I can tell you that I can't imagine any scenario where there's any kind of shutdowns or major enforcement. Certainly nobody's going to be locked up for not wearing a mask. That is not at all the right thing to do. So we're not even going to contemplate that as long as I'm county executive. This is about, you know, businesses across Washington County. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Businesses across Washington County have been learning to live with this. Requiring masks in some places, others not. We try to do that out of love for our neighbor, and I can see no scenario, zero scenario where we're having strict enforcement of a mask mandate. Please wear them out of love and respect for the people around you, for your neighbors, for your loved ones, for your kids. But certainly enforcement of giving people fines or throwing people in jails is ludicrous.
You know, I hate to speculate about what's next. Did you know, number one, that this was coming?
No, we found out along with everybody else. By the time I found out, it was already on Twitter. So, yeah, it's terrifying. No, I'm really concerned about what's next. I put out the tweet just a little while ago in a press release that I believe this is a Trojan horse. I know that people are concerned about the masks. I understand that. I've heard it for weeks now. But the real concern is this emergency declaration, because that opens up Pandora's box. We're right back to where we were in the month of March when the governor issued his emergency order and then ultimately ended up with safer at home and locking everything down. Yes, masks are a pain in the butt. Again, we do that out of love for our neighbors. I'm worried about, is the next step really closing schools? Is it really closing businesses? Are we going back to where we were in March? That's the real concern here, and that's what we're going to fight against. In the meantime, please just wear the mask. Don't worry about the enforcement. Again, I can't see a scenario. I haven't talked to the sheriff, I haven't talked to the DA. I need to hear from them, but I can't see a scenario where there's some kind of situation where people are getting locked up or getting citations. It's just hard for me to believe.
And not to fuel this fire, somebody just wrote in that goggles are next. Have you heard this?
No, I did read, when I was reading through all the Twitter posts that somebody had said, Dr. Fauci mentioned goggles. Go back to March. We actually asked the schools for goggles back at that time. I can't imagine a mandate, but I didn't expect to be sitting here talking to you about a mandate about masks. So,
have you talked to the county attorney?
I haven't even gotten that far. We put out our
we barged in here.
Yeah, exactly. We put out our statement, really being very, very concerned about shutdowns, which certainly are more threatening. People don't talk about this. I know there's been a lot of discussion with the different superintendents and the school districts, the school boards, about having school. The real concern I have is these kids need to be in school. Think about the mental health concerns. Think about the nutritional health concerns. Child abuse and neglect. Those numbers certainly have to be increasing. The mandatory first reporters in those schools that are helping those kids on a daily basis, they haven't seen them in 6 months. So we gotta think that through and what the ramifications long term, the learning ramifications for kids not being in school. And then if the kids are back at home, even if it's virtual, they're watching their teacher through a Zoom meeting, all those parents have to be home. It's a de facto closure. So again, the mask mandate is a Trojan horse. I'm telling you right now, I'm more concerned about that emergency mandate, the emergency order, from the governor. Again, I can't see a scenario where there's tickets or jailing or any of that kind of junk for masks. But keep your eyes, don't let this distract you. Keep your eyes on that emergency order, because that's the real concern right now.
People chiming in saying, hang tough, Josh, and keep the faith. Leaving us on two notes. Sure. What can we watch from you coming up within the next couple hours before end of day? What should we watch for?
Yeah, well, we're doing a lot of these. We have a couple of TV stations coming up to have the exact same conversation. We put a statement out telling the public exactly what I'm telling you right now, and that is that emergency order is the real concern. Again, love your neighbor, wear a mask. Yeah, that's great. Please do it. I've been asking for it for a while. Don't worry about the mandate portion of it. Again, I cannot see a scenario. I'll be advocating with the sheriff and the DA on the enforcement. No jailing, no citations, any of that garbage. But I'm really worried about those closures, because exactly like you said, small businesses around Washington County, large businesses around Washington County, schools, we need to get back to work and back to school as best we can, and we need to put ourselves on a path to do that and not allow some power grab from Madison to interrupt it.